Hey guys, my name is Apple and I've had a lot of people asking me questions about Cambridge, about what to expect, about societies, about the application process, and so I thought I would make a video on it. So I've compiled all of your questions and I'm going to answer them in this video. I'm going to link timestamps in the description, so if you want to skip forward to any specific questions, you can do so. Let's get started. Okay, so I'm gonna start off talking a bit about myself. So my name's Apple. I just finished my first year. I'm studying history of art and I'm at Downing College. It's also important for me to disclose that I am a mature student. I'm currently 22. I took about 3 years out after I finished my A-levels. I did 1 year at St. Andrews and then I did 2 years working. And I thought it would be really fun to try and get into Cambridge. Yeah, I think that gives me maybe a slightly different perspective because I've also experienced other universities as well. But I am not at a mature college. I decided I would rather just go to a normal college and I picked Downing because it's just so beautiful. If you want to know something about me, I'm a massive Pride and Prejudice fan, love a bit of Jane Austen, and Downing College is 1800s, very Regency era, and I think a lot of the reason why I wanted to go to Downing is because of that. Yeah, that's pretty much everything about me. This is a big question that I get asked a lot. Please, can I have help with personal statements? What do I need to include? What goes in it? What are people looking for? And then also the interview process. If you didn't know, Oxford and Cambridge do something a little bit extra, because they gotta be extra, where you do your personal statement like every other university, but then you have to do 2 interviews and usually an entrance exam as well. Also, another thing to know is that if you're applying to Oxbridge, the application for your personal statement I think is in October, whereas at other universities it's in January. So if you're hoping to apply for next year, keep that in mind. You don't have as long as everyone else. And they do that because the interviews are normally in like December or January. Keep that in mind. So I can't give many specifics for other subjects in terms of what you should include, but I think generally my biggest advice is to talk about stuff you do actually know about. That's big. Or just stuff that you're interested in, because keep in mind, you can do extra research. You know, if you write something in your personal statement and you don't know that much about it, but you're interested in it, and then you get your interview, you can do some more research on it before your interview. That's what I did. When I got my interview, I was just doing like loads of extra reading. Anyway, we're skipping forward. I think they've slightly changed the process now as well. I think when I was doing personal statements, we had to write like an A4, not an essay, but you know, a statement saying why you love your subject, why you're interested in it, the stuff that you've done. You're basically trying to impress them, you're trying to sell yourself. Whereas now I think they ask more specific questions, regardless of how they've changed the structure. I think the biggest things you need to keep in mind are read things about your subjects. You know, what did I do? I read a book that I thought was interesting. I went to galleries. I volunteered at a gallery. I, you know, talked about the exhibitions that I was going to. And I think also, you don't have to, but I think sometimes it's good to have like a niche, like something that is unique to you. So for me, I talked a lot about like my mixed heritage and how I thought that kind of influenced the way that I look at art, and how I was super interested therefore in cross-culturalism. When I was doing my A-levels, I did an essay on trade between Venice and the Ottoman Empire. You know, it's little things like that. It doesn't have to always be extra stuff. You've just got to find a way to get that link going. So I'll read you the first section of my personal statement. To study art history is to study humankind itself, and thus examining art is fundamentally a human experience, one that initially asks the viewer to look inwards at their emotional response and understanding of the world and others. The artwork is then reconsidered, this time with a historical and philosophical context, and invites the question, do you see the world differently? So that's kind of, you know, my little introduction to say, this is kind of my overall theme. where I'm talking about how I did all these like little research things and that made me look at art differently. You know what I'm saying? You're kind of giving yourself a little niche. I know that's not always necessary, but I think when you're applying to somewhere like Oxbridge, you do have to kind of think about ways that you can stand out, you know? So like I said, I was talking about cross-culturalism. So I was saying, oh, I went to Venice and I was really struck by how a lot of the architecture looked Ottoman, and then I did research on this, and you can kind of make it up a little bit, you know what I mean? Like I just was trying to, you know, find all the links and then construct it myself. I think I'm waffling and I think I've made my point, but yeah, if you want to read my personal statement, feel free to just send me a message on Instagram or something. I can give lots of specific advice on art history, but when I'm talking generally, I would say be curious, keep reading, keep looking at stuff. If you think like, oh, this one random essay I wrote at school can't be relevant because it was schoolwork, it's not irrelevant. If you think what you wrote was interesting and you can talk about it, perfect. The point of these isn't to test you, they're to understand how your brain works and what you're interested in, which leads us on to the interviews. So if you get through, you have interviews. For me, I had 2 interviews with 2 different people in each interview, and then I had an entrance exam. And the advice that I would say for the interviews is to know your personal statement back to front. That's important. To prep for it, what I did was I went through my personal statement. I went through pretty much every sentence and came up with a question that I thought they could ask. And if I didn't know the answer to that question, I read a bit more. It sounds silly, but it just means that you're extra prepared and you've done more reading. That means that you can talk about other stuff. I mean, in my interviews, you know, they would show me a piece of artwork and they'd be like, describe it to me. And that seems like a bit too easy, but it is easy because they're just trying to figure out how your brain works. They're trying to see how you think and how you describe things, and it's not a test. And I think that's one thing that you can rest assured about. They're not trying to trip you up. One of the biggest, like, best pieces of advice I got is these professors are trying to suss out whether they want to teach you for 3 years. You get to know them quite well, and they're just trying to see if you would be good company and you'd have interesting conversations with them. And so I think, like, treat the interview like you're just having a really cool, good conversation with these really smart people. And I think that kind of takes the pressure off a little bit. And then I also had the exam. For me, I had no idea what other subjects had to do, but I'm sure for humanities it was something kind of similar. I had about 8 pairs of images and I had to pick 2 pairs and I had to compare them. And again, like, they keep it super vague and open because they're just trying to see where your brain goes. And I knew people that wrote like 3 pages per answer. I think I wrote like a small paragraph, but you know, it was quite dense with comparison, I guess. Okay, I'm waffling. I hope that was helpful. Again, if you feel like you need more details or anything more specific, please feel free to send me a message on Instagram. That's probably where I'm most active on replying. Yeah. Next section, colleges and the collegiate system. What is it? Why do we have it? And why is it amazing? Oxford, Cambridge, and I think Durham are pretty much the only universities in the UK which have collegiate systems. This means that when you apply to Cambridge, you're not applying to the university, you're applying to the specific college. So I would argue it is quite important where you apply and where you go. Are you gonna have a good time regardless of where you go? Yeah. Would I rather be at any college at Cambridge or not be at Cambridge at all? I'd be at any college, you know what I'm saying? But I think it's still something to keep in mind when you're applying. Let's talk about it. There are 33 colleges. I'm gonna double check that. 31, okay. There are 31 colleges, and I think 2 or 3 of them are mature colleges. 2 of them are all female colleges. That's Newnham and Murray Edwards. Basically, your college is like a mini campus. It has everything you're gonna need in there. You have your own library, you have your own sports facilities. That's where you're gonna live for 3 years. Some colleges have accommodation outside of the actual college space, but your college will always provide your accommodation for you for the 3 years that you're there. If you're postgrad or going into your 4th year for like engineering or something, they probably won't provide it for you. But for the 3 years, your college provides your accommodation. You also have your food there, so every college has their own dining hall. This is also where you have formals, which I will get onto very shortly. Every college has their own gown, except King's, because they decided to be unique for some reason. They don't have a gown, which I would argue sucks. Just me, I don't know. This is where you'll probably meet most of your friends. Not all your friends, but you know, your college is just like your hub. I love it. You also have your own bar there. My college has its own theatre, its own tennis courts. Oh, every college will have their own chapel as well, so that's great because I'm part of the Downing Chapel Choir. I really love the collegiate system. I think it's probably one of the best parts about being at Cambridge, because not only are you at Cambridge, but you also have your like sense of college identity, and I don't know, it's just really great. It's really fun. It means that you know, if you're in a sports team, you can play for your college and play against other colleges. I think it makes everything more accessible because it means that you can have everything on a smaller scale. If you want to do sports, but you don't want to do like big uni-wide sports, you can do your college sports. If you want to be in a choir, but you don't want to be in one of the big fancy choirs, you can be in your college choir. Just little things like that where I think it makes the college system really special. Doesn't matter what college you go to. Okay, I don't think it matters in the sense that if you get pulled, for example, and that happens to a lot of people, and you go to a college that you didn't necessarily want to go to, is that going to ruin your Cambridge experience? No. You're gonna be fine. It'll be amazing regardless. But I do think when you're applying, you should do your research and you should think about the college you're going to. A couple questions to consider. Do I want to be in the center of town? Or do I want to be slightly out? Or do I want to be really out? For example, I'm in one that is probably a 5-10 minute walk from the very center of town, but I still have access to like loads of shops. I'm really close to my faculty and it's a little bit more quiet. So that's something that I thought about, and I quite liked not being right in the center. But I know a lot of people that love being in the center. So also something to consider, are you really into drama? I love the fact that my college has its own theatre. My college also has its own gallery. Sick. I do art history, that's amazing. I know colleges like Corpus Christi, they have their own playhouse. So I think these are things that you can consider, but I also think like you don't have to be at those colleges to access those things. It's just nice that they're kind of on your doorstep, you know? I honestly think one of the biggest things is, do you like the way it looks? I think that's like huge. I mean, I picked Downing because I just thought it was so beautiful. And I know a lot of people that pick their colleges because of those kinds of reasons, because you are living there for 3 years, you know? So I think it's kind of important to consider if that's something that you think is important. I know a lot of people that really don't care what their college looks like. But for me, I knew that was important to me. This kind of leads me on to my next thing, where someone asked me, are there any college stereotypes? I don't think I know all of the college stereotypes, but I can try and give a few. Downing is kind of known for being quite a bubble. I know that a lot of Downing students stay in Downing. Downing students love to stay in Downing. They love all their Downing friends. We also have a reputation for being alcoholics, but I don't necessarily agree with that one. For legal reasons. Okay, let me try and quick fire. Trinity, super mathsy and sciencey, 70% male. So I would personally never apply there. Magdalen College, I think it's, from what I've heard, known for being like very private school boy vibes. Robinson, the fun college, they're a little bit out. They're a bit more like chill. King's, tryhards, you know? No, King's is the college that is kind of like the landmarky looking college at Cambridge. So I feel like people that apply to King's usually just like, they're like, yeah, I'm applying to King's, you know, I'm gonna do King's. I don't know how to describe that one any other way. Newnham College is a girls' college, and I think Virginia Woolf went there. Newnham is known as like the lesbian college, and it's like heaven on earth, truly. Cats is like a fun college. They got a really fun bar. That's kind of all I got for you for now. And then I got another question, colleges for postgrads. Okay, so there are 3 mature colleges: Hughes Hall, St Edmunds and Wolfson. I know a lot of people that do postgrads apply there because they want to be in an environment where there's just an older cohort. But I would argue, if you are a mature student or you're a postgrad, I think just pick whatever college you want to. If you want to go to a mature college, go for it. But that's not something that you have to do. And to be honest, the postgrads and the undergrads really don't mix very much unless you're doing like sports or choirs or that kind of stuff. Okay, enough on colleges. The next bit is on the Cambridge structure, and this is talking about how we're taught, basically, because it's a little bit different to other universities. I know that St Andrews, Durham, Oxford, Cambridge, I think we have quite similar structures, but most universities won't do this. So we have lectures like every other university, but we also have supervisions and tutorials. So supervisions are, I think I had them like once or twice a week. I know a lot of subjects that have way more, like medicine I think has a lot. Usually it's like groups of 10 people, I think. I think mine has like 15 in it, where you do some reading and you talk about the subject that you are studying that week. And it's just a really good way to better understand the subjects that you are currently reading about. And then we have tutorials, which are often one-on-one, but for me it's been 3-on-1, and I think that's kind of a staffing issue more than like subject specific. Most of my friends have 1-on-1 or 2-on-1, and these are based on the weekly essays that you'll do. For my subject, I know a lot of humanities subjects, it's kind of a similar thing. I'm sure for like science and maths and stuff, you might talk about a project that you've done or a worksheet that you've done, you know, that kind of thing. You'll discuss in detail that specific thing, get feedback on it. They're really, really helpful. I think it's in those classes where you can ask more specific questions, like you're struggling on how to write an essay. In terms of how many hours of work we have a week, and also keep in mind, I have one of the like smallest workloads, like my subject. I know people that have like 2 or 3 lectures a day, including Saturdays. I think that's like medicine and computer science. My subject's not like that at all, and I think most humanities subjects are less like that. I think I would have like 4-ish lectures a week, and it kind of depended on the week as well. Usually have 1 seminar. Sometimes we'd have a second seminar that was kind of like a trip, so we would go to like one of the galleries or visit a cathedral, like that kind of thing. And then we'd have 1 tutorial a week. All in all, probably like 7 or 8 hours of teaching time. And then you get reading, like compulsory reading for your seminars, and obviously the readings for your tutorials, which are your weekly essays. Another thing about the structure is that we have 8-week terms. We have really, really short terms. We have Michaelmas, Lent and Easter. And someone asked me, do you mind the short terms? I'm kind of sad that they're shorter, but only because I just really love being at Cambridge. One thing that I like about the short terms is I like keeping everything intense. I'm someone that works better under pressure. I like the busyness of it. It means that you're working hard, but you're working hard for a shorter amount of time. And when you get your really long holidays, you feel like you've deserved a break. I think our Christmas break is 2 months. Easter is maybe a month. Summer holidays are like 4 months. So there are pros and cons to the 8-week term. One of the most asked questions I got was, how do you balance work and having a social life and looking after yourself? One of my biggest pieces of advice at Cambridge is time management. You will have a lot of work, but I think it's perfectly manageable if you can manage your time. So if you treat every day like a work day, even if you're doing 3 hours in the library, but you're getting something done, it's manageable. I think where people slip up is where they mess around, don't do anything, and then leave everything to the last minute. That's when you're gonna feel overwhelmed. That's when you're gonna start crumbling under the pressure. Another thing to keep in mind, you're not at school anymore. No one's gonna like tell you off if you didn't hand in like a weekly essay. I mean, you know, you are expected to, but if you are unwell for a week and you just couldn't hand in that weekly essay, you're not gonna get a detention. They're very reasonable people. If you say, I'm sorry, I was ill, I couldn't hand it in, you will be fine. So if you wanna take a week to look after yourself because you are feeling really run down, you are very much able to do that. And I think people need to remember that. So if you're someone that likes being busy and likes being in the library, and then I think you'll be perfectly fine. And you know, if you're struggling, and lots of people, it is something that you have to get used to, that every single college will have counsellors and nurses who you can talk to. The university is actually really quick and fast at getting people. I mean, in the first term, I just was like, I don't like this, I don't want to be at university, and I got a meeting with a counsellor within a few days. So there is always support if you need it. Okay, extracurriculars. What kind of stuff is on offer? Like I said before, every college has their own teams: football, rugby, hockey, lacrosse, basketball, croquet at one point. Like, no one knew how to play croquet, but we all got taught. Squash, swimming, yeah. There's loads, and there's like loads of uni-wide stuff and just like college stuff. There's like music societies at every college. There's loads of bands and orchestras that you can be a part of. Loads of random societies. I mean, there's Freshers' Fair in the first week of university, so you'll be able to go and see how much is on. Like, there's a lot. And that leads me to the next question, which is, how many societies can I do? And the answer is, it kind of depends on you, I guess. For me, I did college hockey sometimes. I'm in the college choir. I did quite a lot of theatre. Next year, I'm going to be helping to run the film society. I'm also helping to run the music society. I'm hoping to do more theatre. The same answer I had for the last question, how do you manage everything? Time management. You can do 4 hours in the library, and then I've got a 2-hour rehearsal, and on Sundays I know I have a sports game or a choir performance. It's just about staying on top of things. If you feel like that's something you can manage, which you are more than capable of, I promise you, because I never thought I was very good at managing time, and somehow I've become incredibly good at it. A couple people asked me very specifically about drama. What colleges are best for drama? I don't think there are colleges that are better for drama, because like I said before, you can do it at any college you want to. We have the ADC Theatre, there's the Corpus Christi Playhouse. Anyone from any college can apply to those. Another thing to keep in mind if you're really into drama, there are loads of Facebook pages where they are constantly posting what auditions are coming up. And you know, if you want to be into drama but you don't necessarily want to act, there are so many positions which you can consider. Like you can be an intimacy coordinator, you can be a producer, you could help build sets. You know, there's just so much you can do if you want to get involved in theatre. This isn't just for drama, this is for every society. Get Facebook. Everything is on Facebook. If you are looking for something, you will find it on Facebook. Now on to the fun stuff, or what I consider the fun stuff. So these are all the things that are super fun and very specific to Oxbridge, Cambridge. Formals. Formals are these really fun dinners that happen maybe 3 times a week. It really depends on your college. My college does it 3 times a week, Mondays, Wednesdays, Fridays. Some do it every day. But essentially, they are these candlelit dinners in your dining halls where you have to go dressed very formally. You have to go in your gown. You get served your meals, and it's usually 3 courses, or there are feast formals where you have like 5 courses, and they are really fun. They're really fun to do with your friends. It's really nice to have an opportunity to dress up and have some wine with your friends. You know, it's just really great, and it's one of the things I love about Cambridge. I'm trying to go to a formal at every single college. Haven't actually got that many done so far, but I'm getting there. I've made a spreadsheet and I'm working my way through it. Someone also asked me about formal outfits. Where did you get your outfits and how many did you bring? Honestly, if I'm being realistic, you probably don't need to bring that many dresses. For boys, you got it easy. You're just wearing a suit and tie. But for girls, I don't know, maybe 3, 4. It kind of depends on you. I don't mind repeating my dresses. If you think you're going to be going to formals every single week, you know, maybe bring 4 dresses or something. I don't think there's a right or wrong answer to that question. May week. Okay, let's talk about May week. May week is a week in June, for some reason, after exams, where there are a bunch of garden parties and balls, and these things are absolutely ridiculous. They are just massive. You go, you get your ticket, and there's non-stop drinks, non-stop food. Some of the colleges had like Ferris wheels and bumper cars and fireworks and drone shows. Yeah, they are just absolutely insane. They are so much fun and one of the best things about being at Cambridge. One thing I will say is that the tickets are quite expensive. They generally range from like 150 to like £300. So try and figure out relatively early on how many you think you want to go to and start saving. Another question was, is the nightlife in Cambridge any good? I personally love it. I mean, it's not like amazing, but it's good. We've got quite a lot of clubs. I think there are, I can actually list them off for you: MASH, Revolution, Vinyl, Lola's, and Junction. Yeah, no, there are a lot of clubs, and also because it's obviously a student city, they'll have like loads of different specific nights for different clubs, you know, for different like deals on their drinks. Like everyone goes to Revolution on a Wednesday, or everyone goes to Lola's on a Sunday. I think if you like going out, there are plenty of places to go out in Cambridge, and you will see every single person you know, because it is quite a small place. And if you just want a chill pub night, loads of pubs, and they're all really nice, and lots of bars as well, which are all great. I think that's everything on the fun stuff. What should I bring? So this one I kind of struggled with because I don't know really how to be Cambridge specific. I thought one easy one was books. You don't need to bring any books. You don't need to. I mean, every single book you need will be at Cambridge. We have the university library, which I think holds every single British book ever published, / maybe every book ever published. You will also have, through the university, have access to so many online resources. In your faculty, there will be like every book you ever need. Point is, you do not need to bring a library of books. Stuff for your rooms. One thing I think you need to be careful of when you are packing to decorate is that they are very strict about decorating rooms. And you got to remember, some of these buildings are like 1300s. What I did is that I knew that my room had like a railing, so I could get hooks on the railing and then hang pieces of art from it. You're not going to be able to stick anything on the walls. If you want to stick posters up, there's like cork board that you can put stuff on, but you cannot put anything on the walls, and you will get fined if you get stuff on the walls. Again, if you have any more very specific questions, please feel free to message me, because I couldn't think of anything specific that you need to bring. How to budget food and cheap food finds at Cambridge. There are always going to be meal deals in your college, so I think that's something that you're going to have to learn once you get to your college and figure out what kind of prices the college has. I think generally, if you're someone that needs 3 meals a day, budget for maybe like 10 to 15 pounds a day on food, which now that I say that out loud sounds really expensive. Also, you'll be putting everything on, if you want to, you can use your CAM card, which is your Cambridge student card, to pay for food and also to pay for drinks in the bar. At least my college does that. I know a couple colleges that don't do that. So you can constantly track how much you're spending. You pay that off at a bill at the end of every term. But cheap food finds, and we've got a lot of supermarkets if you want to make your own food. I don't know, there are a lot of fast food places. Five Guys, Taco Bell, we've got a Wendy's now, Itsu, Pret, Wasabi. So if you want something that's like quick and easy and maybe a little bit cheaper, there are a lot. One thing that's great about Cambridge is that it is a city, so there are so many options for food, like so many. And we've got like a shopping center, which is super helpful. What is something you wish you did in first term? My first term was interesting because I was older than everyone and I had just gone from living on my own and working to being a student again, and I had a bit of a rough time because I just wasn't enjoying myself. But looking back at it, I wasn't enjoying myself because of my own attitude, and I had kind of just decided that I didn't want to be there. So that was very specific to me. So if I were to do first term again, I would just get out there, make as many friends as possible, do as many things as I could, just really embrace it. And I think that's something that I did do as soon as I got to second term and third term. Second term and third term, I was having the absolute time of my life and making the most of everything. So I think I kind of solved that issue, luckily. I mean, first term is like the time for just figuring stuff out, and also just know that like you will find your people. Don't worry, everyone's nervous, everyone's in the same boat, it'll be fine. Here's an interesting question. Is it really posh? Honestly, one of the reasons why I left St. Andrews was because it was so posh and culty, and because it was such a small university, you couldn't really escape it. One thing that I like about Cambridge is that it's a lot bigger. So are there a lot of posh people at Cambridge? Yeah, like obviously, but they kind of stick to themselves, to be honest. Actually, like, I haven't met any twats, and I think because Oxford and Cambridge are constantly like facing backlash over the amount of like POC people that they let in, or the amount of state school people that they let in, they are constantly getting better at diversity. Like, my cohort at Downing had the highest POC intake that it's ever had, and I have an incredibly diverse friendship group. I think, like, if you're scared of going to Cambridge because you think it's going to be too posh, I really wouldn't worry about it. You will find your people. How to combat imposter syndrome? That's a good one. I think a big thing to remember if you think that you have imposter syndrome, which I definitely did, is that everyone feels the same way. Everyone is thinking, oh God, who's smarter than me? Oh my God, like, they know what they're talking about. I don't know what's going on. Everyone feels the same way. The only time that I felt like I'd kind of slightly lost my imposter syndrome was when I got my exam results back and I did quite well. And I was like, oh, I'm probably supposed to be here. So I think that's kind of just a personal journey. I think just constantly reminding yourself that they wouldn't have let you in if they thought that you didn't deserve to be there. And that's actually something they bring up a lot in the first week. In Freshers Week, who are constantly saying to us, you guys deserve to be here. Everyone, every time they come here, thinks that they shouldn't be here, but you do. So just keep reminding yourself, keep fighting that little voice in your head that's saying you don't deserve to be here, because you do. Okay, did you get help with study skills like essay technique or note taking? No, we actually didn't, and that's something that I wish we had done. But to be honest, they didn't have it at St. Andrews either, and I am wondering if that's just something that doesn't really happen at university, and that sucks. I think in terms of essay technique, one good thing about Cambridge is that we have tutorials. So if you do want specific advice, you can talk to whoever's running your tutorial. We also all have directors of studies who are people that are there to look after you, who you can email and talk to. So there will always be people to support you if you feel like you need more help. Now, last question I have, how competitive is it to audition for college choir? I'll let you in on a secret. I don't think it's that hard, but it really depends on the college. Colleges like King's, John's, they are very, very, very competitive. But when I was applying to Downing Choir, I said to them, look guys, I can't read music. So if you want me to sight sing in the audition, which they did, I'm not gonna be able to do it. And they were like, it's fine. We just wanna see if you can like match pitch, hold a tune, and I got it. If you have any more questions, just leave a comment, or like I said, send me a DM on Instagram. I'm more than happy to help. And if you guys want another video on anything more specific, please let me know. Good luck everyone on your applications, or good luck starting Freshers Week. Can't wait to see you guys there. Yeah, thanks for watching.